Can you tell I'm in denial?
You can't stay at the top forever.
I was also very surprised when I looked at my phone and saw Joe Girardi dismissed.
Well, I think mine were with common sense.
I think now belongs in the all-time greats top 10.
Boston, I really think only got to this point because of a guy named Chris Middleton being out for the Bucks.
That power play just was unbearable. It was humming.
Man, am I happy. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew he was going to come back.
When I think of New York Yankees now, it's Judge. Probably people in the past when Jeter was coming up.
I would be shocked. A little bit hurt.
Hey, this is Greg Tepper of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, TexasFootball.com, and Valley Sports Southwest. You are listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. And Austin, in recent years, it is surprising that the Detroit Lions are most likely going to miss the playoffs as they lost to the Steelers on Sunday.
At home. And their last two games are on the road against the Vikings and the Bears. And it has been a kind of drastic change from what it was last season. However, their offense is still relatively good. They're second in points per game with 30.1. But last year they were 7th defensively, and this year they're 23rd. Their defense has really struggled. And yes, there's been injuries. There's been a plethora of injuries across the board for a lot of these positions that they have. But I think the major thing for me defensively is just the fact that they cannot and will not stop big plays from happening. I mean, if we look at that game against the Steelers, they had 3 30-plus yard plays that ended up being touchdowns. And those are plays you can't allow happen. They've allowed the fourth most passing touchdowns against at 29. They've allowed a lot of passing yards. The rushing defense has been mid. They're 16th in basically every one of those stats. But their offense has played well. I mean, Gibbs has been very good in most of the season. He has 17 touchdowns on 1,662 yards from scrimmage. David Montgomery's even been surprisingly good. And I say surprisingly because I didn't expect him to be as good this season, but he still is averaging 4.6 yards per carry and is being okay in the receiving game. And while they have missed some games from some of their key players, they still have 2,000-yard receivers in Amon-Ra and Jameson Williams. Sure, having Sam Laporta out for the year hurts, but their offense, which I was worried that was going to regress a little bit more after losing Frank Ragnow, has ended up being decent or really good, actually. And just in big games, they just can't score enough, and they give up too many points. In their losses, I mean, they scored 9 points against the Eagles. They scored 24 points in their second loss against the Packers. In their first loss, they scored 13. They only scored 17 when they lost against the Chiefs. And sure, there's been some bad calls here and there that they're going to complain about, but I definitely think that losing yesterday, as we're recording this, they didn't deserve to win. They forced a turnover, but at the same time, they immediately gave the ball right back with a safety. They also, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the last play of the game, but that was definitely an offensive pass interference, in my opinion. Amon-Ra goes hunting for the guy and shoves him, and that guy being Jalen Ramsey. But, I mean, their offense is done enough in most of these games, but their defense has been very underwhelming.
Yeah, I haven't seen the last play of the game. I saw parts of it, but when I think about the Lions this year, I do think another storyline to consider is the two new offensive coordinators. You mentioned the Packers' first game between the Lions and Packers. That was the first game of the season. The Lions' offense struggled. To me, they have figured out their new offensive coordinator, I think, has figured out how to use the weapons that Ben Johnson used in such a creative way and efficient way. But now you go to the other side where you have Aaron Glenn also leaves to be the head coach for the New York Jets. Kelvin Shepard is the defensive coordinator. And I don't think this is all his fault, the defense, but I do think he is still learning what to use on this defense. And when the Lions started with Dan Campbell, you had Johnson came in 22-23, but Aaron Glenn, to me, I believe, was the defense coordinator all those years. And you could hide behind the fact of just the Lions being bad that their defense wasn't being looked at. They added new players. So Glenn had enough time to understand how to use those players. I think Shepard is doing that as well, but he is under much he's under their higher expectations now. And yeah, Glenn was the defensive coordinator, was hired on January 2021. So that kind of goes to show he's been with Campbell since he was there, calling the defensive plays. And in those first 3 years, as I look at the defensive rankings, they were all bottom half of the league. Last year, they were 20th in yards, but 7th in points. And then this year, 23rd in points, 24th in yards. And when you look at total yards per game allowed, they're in the bottom half of the league on defense. And to me, they have great players like Aiden Hutchinson, who I think is still recovering from his injury. But it's getting other players involved. And kind of, I think to me, it's their corner situation. I think safeties are great, but I am concerned about their corners. And I do think you can always add more pressure.
Sure, I agree. You can always add more pressure. But Aiden Hutchinson has played fine. And I've been very impressed with Jared Goff this season. The past couple years, he's thrown a lot of picks. This year, 32 touchdowns, only 5 picks, has a 109.4 passer rating, and he's been very good. Again, their offense, second in points, third in yards. You can't really ask more from this offense, especially after losing Ben Johnson and a Hall of Fame tier center.
Yeah, I was concerned about their offensive line, especially with Ragnow, who's a phenomenal center. And then they also moved a guard to that center spot. To me, so then you were kind of dealing with two things: the guard situation and your center spot, filling those holes. And one was done to help the other. But yeah, I don't blame the offense. The offense to me is back to what it back to the expectations set the past few years, but defensively has been the problem.
Yeah, and I do wonder whether or not that's going to be changed because they just don't have enough time to really fix it. They don't control their own destiny. They have to win out, and the Packers have to lose out to make the playoffs. Because if they were to go 9-8, the Packers are already at 9 wins, and they can't even get 8 losses because of the tie against the Cowboys. So, and even if they could get to 8 losses with the tie of the Cowboys, let's say the Packers had lost that game, it wouldn't matter because the Lions had lost to the Packers twice this season. So it looks like the Lions are on the way out. It's going to be hard to win that game at Bears or even at Vikings because the Vikings have been playing well recently. But yeah, I've been disappointed with how their defense has played and some of the games there that they definitely had that were winnable. They just couldn't get it done. I do wonder what this looks like in the offseason. I mean, Dan Campbell has the longest leash of all time at this point. The Lions trust him, and I would trust him as well. It's just you have to kind of retool this roster, especially defensively, heading into next season if they do miss the playoffs.
Yeah, it is disappointing given just how far they've fallen, but kind of understanding a letdown of the kind of given the coordinators. But I do think you see a lot of retooling, them getting guys defensively to bring in through the draft or free agency. But yeah, I don't see any drastic changes happening. It's just focusing on that roster and kind of creating that hunger again of just getting good. Because also you have to think the NFC North got better this year.
I don't think so.
I think the Packers
last year they were
up.
The Vikings were 14-3 last year, and the Packers made the playoffs too. I think last year was probably better for the NFC North, but it's still. I mean, the division just changed basically between the Bears and the Vikings, but the Lions aren't as good, which makes the division worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think the Vikings present problems in the way. It's just their offense has taken such a large step back. That's why they are already eliminated from the playoffs. So you do have to expect each team getting better in the NFC North. So I think we could see a lot of them going after guys and building up that defense as best they can.
Yeah, that's true.
So let us know your thoughts in the comments, why the Lions are having a worse season compared to years past. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.